Dear Heavenly Father, we pray that you will continue to bless and protect those that's out there on the front lines that's helping fight this epidemic. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray that you will bless and protect our military soldiers that's standing abroad for our freedom. Dear Heavenly Father, now we pray for our families. We pray for our county. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray for leadership on the national level, on the state level, and on a local level. These and other blessings we ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Supervisor Howard.
Yes, sir.
Moving forward, approval of the August 2021 board order. You have them in your packet. You would take some time to review them.
Motion for approval.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard, that we approve that's the August board orders. Any questions? No questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And Supervisor Montgomery is aye.
Brickley, Supervisor Miller was an aye as well, Mr.
Okay,
President.
motion carries 5-0. Moving forward,
I apologize, she was a no. Let me back up,
No.
I misunderstood her. She is a no.
no. But that's for the board orders.
Yes, sir.
Okay, moving forward. Citizen comment period. If we have any citizens who are visiting with us today who would like to make a comment, would you please come forward?
I don't know that we so much have a comment. My name is Joseph Ammerman, by the way, is my wife Priscilla. We're residents of Longview Road, and we just really wanted an update. I see that Mr. Pritchard has got an update later on, so maybe we just wait. And is that going to be part of the update?
But we won't be able to comment during that period, right?
Well, if you would move forward with your comment, then you might,
Hear the
he
answer.
probably is gonna answer your question.
Well, we just, we're just still waiting. I mean, this is the third year since this contract has been let, and
There's some.
they're just not doing anything. We've got ditches that empty into the middle of the road. That road this morning is impassable. So if they're not going to pave it again, then we'd like to know who's going to be responsible for fixing it and where you can drive up and down it.
I mean, our question, I think, too, it weighs the most on us right now is they abandoned this project right after 4th of July. They haven't been back. We're approaching wintertime and spring rains, and we're really afraid that it will become completely impassable with the way that they have left it and the condition that it's in, with no good ditches. It will become, we're afraid we'll be trapped in our houses, is what we're thinking. And we just wonder if they're gonna be allowed. I mean, does the contract allow them to behave like this? There's no remedies for, being irresponsible and abandoning a project 2 years in a row, halfway through the summer, or maybe just even barely into the summer this year. We just don't understand how that's happening.
I tell you, we share your concern, and we're working on that project to try to improve it and try to make it come to fruition. We're trying to finish it. Attorney Robinson, you had some comment in regards to that.
Yes, sir. Just a lot of times it's hard whenever you don't know what's going on and what's occurred. One of the reasons that they left the scene out there is the contractor, the people that are actually doing the work. Apparently, whenever there were two issues. One ended up being a water line that had not been moved. The other one was
they've cut it 16 times.
Well,
So-
they may end up cutting it more. I hate to say that, but it's probably true. And then there was another one that was a AT&T line that was being cut. What should have occurred and didn't was years ago when that water line, and for that matter, the AT&T lines, they're kind of two separate issues. But the water line itself, no one knew where the line was, and when they were coming through there, they thought it was clear. Well, obviously, as you've seen, it was not clear. The secondary issue so we had to go back and make sure that got removed, and that was the in fairness to the city of Starkville, who now owns the water line, they purchased it
In front
from
of our house.
a different group. And the group that had it at that time did not have a very good, I guess, showing where the line actually went.
Yeah,
So-
they didn't know where it was.
So they've kind of had to bump in the dark, and finally some of that was found. We've gotten that kind of straightened out, but unfortunately, because it was a question as to who was going to pay for removing that water line, it took some negotiation to get that done. Starkville has taken it. They understand it's their contractual obligation to get it removed, so they're in the process of getting it, and hopefully it's already been done. I'm not positive.
They moved it 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Good deal.
Oh, longer than that ago. And what we don't understand is that was a very small part of the road, you know, what, not even a quarter of a mile maybe. It's a 3-mile road. There was nothing else they could do on that road.
They weren't going to move any. They weren't going to move anywhere past that because they weren't certain. And then on top of it all, you had an AT&T issue that popped up too. AT&T actually moved the line, and then they've had to move it again.
Well, the first time they moved it, all they did was run it down the side, throw it on the ground on the side of the road. So it wasn't a surprise that it got cut.
We're in the process. We've kind of negotiated some of that, but we're in the process now of. We've allowed the contractor itself to not be responsible for that part of it because they're supposed to take a road that is ready to be paved. Well, they didn't. When they got in there, they started running into water and they started running into the AT&T line. I know it's frustrating. God knows I know. We finally have gotten over those humps. I do know that the county has, and our road manager is here, just walked in as well. They've gone out there and tried to smooth some of that out as well. I think we're going to have to continue doing that. I don't want to sit here and tell you that this is going to be fixed because it's just not.
So they're not coming back.
They're coming back, but they're not going to be. Well, the man that probably knows more about all of this than even I do, they're coming back, but I doubt very seriously that it's going to be finished. That's just my honest.
So,
But will it be made passable?
Yes, that the intent is to be able to make certain it's passable.
but the bottom line is, they're not gonna pay it this year.
You're going to the 4th summer.
I think we're going to end up having a situation where we're going to run out of time. I think that if the weather allowed, they'd probably get it done, but I don't get the impression from talking to the engineers that are involved that it's going to be able to be paved this year. Now, that being said, there's always the possibility, but I don't want to fill you with. I don't want to tell you something that's not true.
When the Board of Supervisors let that contract to Phillips, that contract didn't have an end date in it, a penalty
Contractual
clause?
remedies?
Whenever you have lines that are in their way, they have excuses as to why they didn't finish. That gives you the other side of the coin on that one. Mr. Pritchard.
Okay, we do appreciate your comments, and we do share in your concern, believe me. And you certainly have a valid concern.
Come out and drive up and down that road and you'll share it more.
Right, that's right, I agree, but I'm glad to have
Thank you for your
Mr.
time.
Pritchard here, and he will talk about the status of the Longview Road, I'm sure. He has the knowledge and the status of it, so glad to have Mr. Pritchard here. Thank you, Attorney Robinson, for trying to move forward with that and clear things up. Citizen comment. Are there additional citizens who would like to make a comment? No additional citizens. Let's move forward. Community council introduction with the
President Williams, members of the board, and those who sit with you at the board, thank you for the opportunity to give us today to introduce to you our new county administrator, Mr. Ray Evans. We're very pleased to have him with us. I'd like for you all to know that he's been with the agency for a number of years, and in that time he has served in a variety of important leadership roles in developing programs in all of our 7 counties, and that certainly enriches us in Octavia-Hall County. But when you have an individual like Mr. Ray with that kind of a talent, Unfortunately, he is moved out over all the counties, but that does strengthen all of us in mental health. But we're very pleased that he is back with us now as our county administrator. I promised your administrator that we would not take but 5 minutes because I know you're on the road to Jackson for federal fundings, which will benefit everyone here in mental health. So at another opportunity, he will have an opportunity to come and visit with you. In the meantime, though, he wants to extend his invitation for you all to visit his office and to call upon him in mental health issues. We all know mental health issues are on the rise, and they will impact us one way or the other here in Ocklawaha County. And fortunately, we have someone in Mr. Ray who has the experience and the knowledge in knowing how to effectively help community mental health centers. He's a local person. His wife is a school counselor, and his children are graduates of Starkville High School. He's been with you all along, but it just happened to have been in leadership capacities within the other areas in our region. So we're pleased to present to you, and for you all to know, Mr. Ray, I wanted to do this today rather than wait for a month in your next meeting, because in the meantime, you all may want to visit with him in his office and call upon him when you need him. And thank you for your support for mental health services. Mr. Ray.
Again, it is my pleasure to be before this board on this morning. I have been in the capacity that I'm working in since 2005. This is my first opportunity to actually be here in the county where I live. I've been kind of moving from county to county in my 28 years with the agency. I know most of you guys and have known you as long as I've been here, mostly through community and church work. I also serve as a pastor, not here in the county, but also in Lowndes County. But I've raised my family here. My wife works for the school district. She's a psychometrist. And I'm excited to be here where I live to serve the community in which I live. So my door is always open. You all know where our building is located on Jackson. And if you ever want to come by and just spend time, meet the staff, please feel free to do so.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. Ray, we're certainly glad to have you and to bring your experience to Ocklawaha County. You have a great deal of experience, and we're gonna benefit. We'll benefit from it.
Anything I can do, I'm just a phone call away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna share with
Thank
you.
you.
Welcome.
I'm gonna give you a business card. It has my cell number on there, which is the way I prefer it. If you all needed to reach me, just reach out. Don't have my new cards yet, but that cell number is still good. Thank y'all so very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Safety on the road to Jackson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward. Clearwater Group is not gonna be with us today, I believe. Are you?
No,
Clearwater,
they're not.
not gonna be here. They cancel out, so we move forward. We have someone. Oh, Phyllis Benson, okay. Ms. Benson, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Supervisor Miller is on my phone, so I'm gonna let you.
Okay. You gonna let us know how she voted and stuff like that? Okay.
Supervisor Miller,
She's probably got you on silent.
hello? Can you hear us okay? Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
John Cunningham with Neil Schaefer Engineers and I are here this morning to discuss the North Star project, which is funded with an ARC grant, bond money from the city and the county. I believe he has a change order to present. Once he completes that, I will come back to you and enlighten you on the requirements of the ARC grant.
Thank you, Phyllis.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me give you a quick update on the progress of the tank. We're getting close. Contract up in the first part of November. All we really like is getting water on the water line to fill the tank. Get some of that stuff work tested and some electrical work. And so that's not, it's needed, but it's not a lot left to do. And part of this change order I'll speak about is part of that as well. So we do have a deductive change order today for you to consider. This has already been presented and approved by OCEDA. The deduct is for a little under $8,500. The next step is coming back to y'all since the contract for the tank is in the counties, between the county and the Phoenix fabricators. And so that's part of this purpose, to have this change order before you today. The change order is for what we found some field conditions on trying to make the connections to the city's water system. Some changes, not exactly like we thought were set up as we intended, just like y'all were talking about the water line earlier. And so we've had to accommodate some changes for that. We're gonna need to make without getting too technical, to make this tank function the way it is out on the far part of the city's system. We're gonna need a bore across Highway 389 to be able to isolate the lines to where the tank, that part of the system serves Trim King, the Water Association as well from the city. So to be able to fill the tank and be able to serve Trim King like they've been doing, some of these extra needs with the bore and water line is needed to get that done. And again, that's some changes we come across, making connections to the water line from the tank back to the city system. The other change is the contractor came to us with a request to do a alternate or substitute mixing system on the tank. The mixing system is set up to deal, that's a 500,000 gallon tank, so that's a lot of water. We're trying to make sure we got good turnover in that tank, that it is used, it's not sitting there getting stale or anything like that. So part of the purpose of the mixing system design is to have the adequate turnover in that tank with a little use of water that'll be on it for the time being until things develop more out in the industrial part. So the original design was what we call a passive design mixing system, and what that means shortly is that when the tank's filling, it's actually creating more turnover in the tank with the water line running through some valves. What the contractor proposed is coming to us with an active mixing system, which is a motorized system. It's basically putting air in the tank all the time, and so it'll be turning over all the time, not just when the tank's filling, but it'll be running continuously. That is a cheaper cost, and that's part of the reason we've got a deduct, but I don't have any concerns with it being anything less than what we've already got in place. In fact, with it running all the time, I like that in the sense that you've got some change, you've got water turning over all the time. So again, the deduct is $8,500, a little under $8,500. So again, it's already been through a city, now it's coming to y'all for consideration for approval. And my understanding from Phyllis is the next step, it's gonna have to go to MDA to get approved as well. So any questions with that?
Well, it looked like a good improvement, a good change that's gonna be made to make the tank function better, then we get a savings of
That's right.
$8,446 so we can't beat that deal, don't look like there. So I think we need a motion for approval, I believe, on that change order, do we?
I do have one question about the new aerator.
Right.
Is there some sort of alert system on it? Because it sounds like it's a pump that will be stirring the water.
It's like a blower, so to speak, but it's in the water.
But
So it's turning a blade, a fan, or an impeller, so to speak,
some
inside
sort of
the
motor or
tank.
something.
So it is electrical feed. It will come back out of the tank, go back down inside the interior dry section of the tank, and tie into electrical fountains that are also be in there. It will be on city SCADA system, so it will have alarms tied to it.
Okay. That's what I was wondering if there's some
Right.
sort of
So
alarm,
they'll be
if
able to
it's not
monitor if there's a
working.
problem with something out there, it should give them an alarm at their base computer, and then they've also got, ways through their cellular system to contact them on their phone or the computer and that sort of thing, so.
I motion that we approve the change order.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Traynor, second by Supervisor Howard, that we approve the change order. Any additional questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Miller?
She's an aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
I've got 4 copies here already signed on the contractor and myself, so the next step would be with approval that the county signed it as well, and then Phyllis, you'll need a copy of the signed copy.
Correct.
The approved copy by everybody so far, like go to NBA. I'll just leave that much longer here.
Okay.
As I've said before, with federal money comes federal rules, and, you know, MDA wants to have their hand in the pie since they are the basic agency for ARC. So what we'll do is I've prepared a letter. It should be in your possession. Once you sign it, I'll come back by the county administrator's office this afternoon or whenever the letter's ready, along with the signed change order. I'll scan it to Jackson, and then they're pretty good about turning it around quickly. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Benson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving forward. Preacher engineering update, answers to our questions. Welcome.
Good morning,
Good
all.
morning, good morning, sir,
Morning.
good morning.
Okay, by way of update, we have sent our second office review response on the Harold Road Bridge and expect authorization to advertise that project at any time. I'll need a board order, if it pleases y'all, to advertise upon notification from state aid.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Traynor, that will advertise for the Harold Bridge.
That's LSBP 5315, Rob.
5315.
5315. And we expect that anytime.
Are there any additional questions? No additional questions, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, did speak to
Supervisor-
state,
Oh.
It was 5-0.
5-0, motion carries 5-0.
okay, did speak to state aid this morning, inquired about the status of our ERBRF applications. They have not received any notification as to when those will be awarded or not awarded. So we don't know anything on the 3 that we submitted for the county yet. Okay, we have program documents that we sent to state aid for Octok Road, Maben Bell, and Maben Sturgis. And you'll remember that state aid through Mr. Harry Lee James says he's going to sit on those programs until we deal with a few of our bridges. Those bridges are largely dependent on what we get back from ERBR. So right now that's all in a holding pattern, unless you'd like to go some other direction with it. All right, Blackjack Road, on time, they've expended about 80% of their time. The job is about 78% complete, so they're right on schedule. We'll be continuing to pour curb and gutter and driveway aprons this week. We hope to pour the north lane or lay the north lane on Blackjack within about 2 weeks. Okay, so they're making good progress there. State aid annual maintenance inspection, Jerry Gilliland has taken over the county from Mark Whitney, who is no longer at state aid, I understand. He would like to do that maintenance inspection on September the 21st, if that pleases the board. Mr. Baggett, do y'all normally have a representative there also when he does his state aid maintenance inspection?
Sometimes.
You know, so I just need to know if I can confirm the 21st with Mr. Gilliland to ride our state aid projects in the county. Sometimes some of y'all wanna go, some of them you don't.
Good
Sounds
day
good
for
with
me.
me. Fine with me.
Okay, there's, just to put a bit of a bug in your ear, there's at least 3 more private projects planned along Blackjack Road that we know of. And not to know that we know about them all, but we know of 3 that are pretty, high-end, projects in the 20 to 40 to $50 million range. So keep that in mind. We're about to open up a new thoroughfare soon. Might be some consideration about access along Blackjack, how many driveways, how much this, and this. I'll give you all the guidance I can, but for now, I just want to put the bug, in your ear that we've not seen the last of development along Blackjack. Another one, and Rob and Mr. Lewis, I may need your help on this, is a potential development along Ridgecrest. And I think you may have had a call, or maybe I inquired about whether Chadwick Place Drive, Chadwick Apartments is actually a county road or not, and whether that is public access. We've got some maps out there that say one thing, we've got some feedback otherwise that says maybe not. But this potential development on Ridgecrest would like to access the loop through Chadwick Apartments. So, Rob, I may actually need a little help from you on whether that's actually county road or not.
Yes, sir. We can get together. Are you saying the actual road that runs through?
Through the apartments, right? It's a loop road through Chadwick Place. I do understand there are individual addresses assigned on that right now, but I think maybe there's some confusion as whether the county actually ever accepted that or not. So I need some clarification there. And short of that, that's about all I got. We're working on.
What about Longview Road?
Longview Road is, I know there was some conversation before I entered the room, was delayed on some utility relocations. We still need one letter regarding some future conflicts with utilities. That I think
When can they get back in there, Clyde? I mean, you're hearing a sampling right now, people at the meeting, and I implore you to get Phillips back in there. When can that happen? Is AT&T not gotten their line out of the way? And there needs to be some headway on this project.
Well,
the county had to go in there and make it a passable road several weeks back, and it's just at a deadlock.
I'm talking to.
John.
What do we need to do to get this moving?
Okay. Well, right now, we need clarification on the last letter with AT&T. That B.O.S trying to get wrapped up, and it may be, I'm looking at Rob now, it may be wrapped up, but,
Well, yeah, let's tackle that now. What do we need to do?
Phillips has asked for an assurance if they keep running into AT&T lines which were supposed to be moved already, that they will not incur costs associated with repair or replacement of those lines. And that is a fair request on their part.
We actually passed a board order last board meeting saying that we were covering that.
I understand that's been the language for the last, I'd say, 2 months now. So I guess my question to you and to Rob then is, what do we need to do to make the situation come to a head? Because we all know that the road's not going to get done this fall and winter, but if we wait around any longer for AT&T, we're going to have a mess on our hands come winter. Just while on during this meeting, I'm happy to respond to people that are wondering what's going on. They're looking at me, they're looking at Brickley, and we're looking to you. What's the answer to get AT&T to move these lines that they were required to move a while back? I mean, they've been given fair notice. What do we need to do?
Well,
Besides, we need this to come to a head, is what I'm saying. We've got some decent weather. I know we've been getting some rain. There's some workable days now. If we would get on the horn to get AT&T to move, what do we need to do?
well, to respond, number one, yes, they were given fair notice a long time ago. And, getting action from that end has been something that we've not been able to do. There's long documentation in the file, move your stuff, move your stuff, move your stuff. So we need, right now, as I understand it, and Rob, you correct me, but what I need to do is lay letter in hand that Phillips says, if they're there, if you damage it, we're not holding you responsible for the repair.
I think we had a board order in that order. It was the last meeting and the one before that.
Well,
That we all, as a board, voted for.
I've emailed it and sent one to them. I don't know where it went from there, but.
okay. Well, all I can do now is verify that they've got it. I'm here that there was a board order. Rob says it was sent. I need to verify that they got it. Now, to fall back on the time, state aid projects are workday contracts, and they're allowed X number of work days. That accounts for rain, that accounts for holidays, that accounts for Sundays. In this case, counted for a pandemic. It also accounts for utility conflicts where they can't do productive work. So, Phillips,
Has not AT&T, they've already run another line behind the one that was hit. I think they were back in there, gosh, my time slips by, but I want to say 3 or 4 weeks ago they were in there putting another line behind the one that's been hit. So the one that's been hit or going to be hit when the contractor gets back in there is a dead line now, I do believe.
some may be. We just need to lay the letter in their hand. The last trip out there, when our engineers are on site and AT&T is standing on site saying we have nothing in there, Phillips equipment pulled up with a myriad of AT&T lines hung behind the equipment.
I was out there and
so that part of it's been a mess, but if we can verify that they've got the letter, then we have, we can push them to go back to work. But, the truth of the matter is we're not going to get the road paved this winter, this summer.
I understand that, but here it's pushing September. The damage was done, the letter that I've got from AT&T was the 2nd of July. So that's been over 2 months ago that they hit it even before that. That's the letter from AT&T. So they hit it in late June. You see where we're at?
Well, John, it's not all AT&T. Now, let's keep in mind that we also started digging up water line from the city of Starkville.
And the city of Starkville has since moved those water lines.
That's right. That took
very
time.
Responsive. I give hats off to them. Rallying late. They came in less than 2 weeks. They got those lines out of the way. It was my understanding that AT&T had also run another line behind that. Just people want answers. You know what I mean? And they rely on myself. They rely on Supervisor Miller, and we rely on you to get AT&T and other entities like that to adhere. Whatever needs to happen, because if not, then we're going to, when I say we the county, we had to go in there and put gravel, dirt, and do all these things that the contractor should have been doing that they didn't do. I mean, where are we going to be in another month? Where are we going to be in 2 months? Where are we going to be in January? It's scaring me, but quite honest with you. So we can't just keep kicking this can down the road. This has got to come to a head. When can we get our contractor back in there to work on that road? It vitally needs to be, paved, yes, but in a lot better shape than it is now, or it won't hold up this winter. It's going to be a nasty mess. So, what do we need to do to get that going? What do we need to do to urge AT&T to complete their project, to complete their end of it? And what do we need to do to get Phillips back in there on the clock? Is my only concern.
Attorney, Supervisor Montgomery, we have a comment by Attorney Robinson.
Okay.
I
I'd love to hear them.
I wanted to make certain that whenever you talk to them, they're saying that they haven't received anything from us that says that we are taking that responsibility on.
That's what I understood last week, that they've not received that communication.
Well, I mean, I can just say what we did in our office. We've actually sent them an actual letter 3 weeks ago. It's right after the last board meeting. And then we emailed it to them, the actual board order as an exhibit, as well as the letter.
It would help on our end had we been copied on that, so
Right.
we know that happened.
I don't know that you did, and I'm not going to sit here and say that you did. I don't think you did. But they're saying they didn't get it.
The last communication with them was that they were waiting on the letter that they were told they would get that would relieve them from responsibility with AT&T should they damage their lines.
All right, that's what I need to know.
And I don't have, and I'm not throwing rocks, but I don't have communication in my office that says that was ever done.
Well, I'm not certain how. This is my aggravation. If they want to do a job, and this is where they're at, I'll talk to them today. But I've about had my limit of what silliness is going on here as well. You and I'll get together and talk and see what we can do. But some of this stuff, Schaefer's got to decide whether or not he wants the job.
Agreed.
Mr. Preacher, who would be responsible for general maintenance this winter?
It is the contractor's job site right now, so Phillips will be responsible for maintaining that project through the winter.
So the county now is doing putting forth some effort to maintain it. Will the county be reimbursed?
The county put forth some effort to help maintain through a July that rained every other day through there. So yes, but Phillips will be held responsible for maintaining traffic. That is part of there.
And will the county be reimbursed?
I can't answer that. I'll have to go back and check the actual language in the contract for that.
Hey, I do have a question, and this would be for Mr. Lois. Is the board order that we had saying that we wouldn't hold Phillips responsible for any damages to AT&T, and that's the only one left. Any of the damages in the right of way. Can we make sure that gets to Phillips via certified mail or whatever?
Yeah.
Email.
I'll take care of it today. After the meeting, I'll
Because-
send it myself.
Well, because I mean, it's just we can't keep pushing this down the line, and I do apologize for my candidness here, but I'm beyond disappointed just in how this is. It's been just moved down the line, down the line, down the line. You know, today is the day we need to push forward, and because if not, who's to say in a couple of weeks the rainy season won't start early this year? So I would like a report on that before the end of the day. And know that they've got that hand. Whatever they need to, whatever we need to do to get it to them, because I didn't think that was the case, because we did a board order. Again, it was the last meeting of the meeting before that. So whatever we need to do to move forward, because again, yes, the county had to go in there and do that work because the road was, I mean, there was a tractor on the bridge for almost a month right there. People couldn't even get through. So another thing I would like to add, tell Phillips, is keep the road passable as well. And yes, through the winter.
Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery. I share some concerns about the Blackjack Road situation with 3 more projects being added. Are we gonna look forward to how do we have them to be more responsible for traffic flow? Traffic flow, are you thinking about that now? You got that in consideration?
Yes, your current permit guidelines provide that if a project exceeds a certain size or a certain number of beds or what have you, that we can request a traffic analysis on there, and certainly we'll do that.
Whose responsibility is it to pay for the analysis and things like that? Is that what that is?
Be the developer.
Okay.
And what we would tend to do too, if you had, for instance, if you had adjacent properties and, you know, one's on the left, one's on the right, both of them on driveways, both of them on this, we would, first thing we would ask is that they may be shared drive so that we don't have 2, we have 1, and, you know, try to approach it from that type standpoint, to minimize the number of entrances and exits. Okay?
So in lieu of this conversation with Longview Road, I'm assuming you're gonna contact project manager ASAP?
I'll contact him. You know, and I'm certainly not saying these things haven't happened, but I need verification in hand where I can say, Mr. Hill, Blake, you received this on this day. Why are you not
What's your
out there
response?
working?
Okay.
Can I suggest that maybe any correspondence from this point forward, that you, our board attorney, our county administrator, and at least our board president, all be copied. On any, if it's a hello, good morning, make sure everybody is copied on that so that everybody can be in the loop. That way we won't have these conversations about, well, I don't know if you can. I think going forward, that would be very beneficial in keeping everybody informed.
Any updates on the other maintenance projects, stadium money?
Being what?
Some contracts, then we give you the authority to put together some plan, program for some leveling research?
No.
For the state aid money that's been,
Oh, that's the Octop, maybe Bell, maybe Sturgis. I have those
Okay.
3.
but I thought I had 1 or 2 in there.
I think those are still pending. I don't think I put any together, anything else.
Thank you for.
So what do I need?
Hey, one last thing about Longview Road.
Yeah, I just need a list to put together and how they're gonna be funded, which projects you wanna pursue.
Out of the existing money that we got with state aid,
Though we have expended the money for state aid for Octop, Maven Bell, Maven Sturgis, and Poorhouse.
I understand that, but what about the allocated money that we had?
I'm not following you.
Then we split up the state aid money and allocate so much per district? Or you took all of that and dumped on those roads?
To my knowledge, all our state aid money has been allocated on those roads.
The maintenance money? The money that we split 5 ways in state aid?
I don't have direction to put any other maintenance, resale, overlay. I think, Marvell, you called about that maybe last week, whether we were putting something together.
What about the 400 and some $1,000 we had per district? Am I wrong?
No, because what I requested you do for me was within that allocated money that we sort of agreed that we would do. Now, I know there's been some conversation back and forth about these disjointed projects like that, are not gonna be seen as favorable, going forward. And earlier you made the statement that we actually can't use that money until the bridge deal.
The three programs that we have before them now being Octot, Mabin-Bell, Mabin-Sturgis.
With state aid funds.
State aid, that have state aid funds in them. He has said he'll not approve those programs until we get definition on the bridge repairs.
And you said, and you, go ahead, Supervisor Miller.
He's gonna have to advertise, but we may have to do another.
Go ahead.
On the Poorhouse Road project, there should be $400-something-thousand for each district, and that state aid should be in that new program. But when I spoke to Harry Lee James, well, the program that they have does not show that. And I think there needs to be some clarification on that. We did do a board order for that, and each district should have $400-something-thousand. So the program documents, what he told me about 2 weeks ago, was it just needed to be updated with the current amount. So we need to get a copy. I'd like us all have a copy of the Longview Road contract for us all to review. And I think that we need to see all the most recent program documents for state aid and see how they reflect the current balances that we all have. Because I know that the one that Mr. Harry Lee James said that he had did not reflect the current amount, which is over $400,000 per district.
District 1's is Maiden Sturgis. I use all the state aid and my county money. So.
Mine was Mabin-Bell. I did call our engineer last week, and I was inquiring about if we were putting a package together, and he said he really didn't have much feedback on doing it. So at this point, it'll actually be into next year. I guess we didn't get bids on soil cementing.
We advertised for soil cement, we got no bids. We actually advertised a second time for the three roads that y'all had indicated, we got no bids.
Since that conversation is being discussed about soil cement, normally we run out of time for usage of soil cement. Can we advertise this time in time so it will take us over the summer? It should take us over the summer.
You'll not get anybody to bid it. Because they can't forecast the cost of the cement, the cost of the trucking, the cost of anything. They will not offer a bid for anything that far out.
Well, I'm not talking about a bid now. I'm talking about bid close enough to the time at which we are going to be starting our construction work.
Sure, and that's what
around the spring.
Sure, and that's what we tried to do with these three roads that you had. So we've got 3 point whatever miles it was right now ready to bid.
Right.
And we could not get bids for that.
Yes.
So
Just 1 second. For instance, on Blackjack Road, when we were initially ready to soil cement, it took Burns over 2 weeks to find raw cement, and then it took over 2 weeks again to find a trucking company that would bring it to the job. So that's the kind of stuff that they're running into before CAMS could put it down.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that there's not going to be much construction going on from here on in, I don't believe, but we should be ready and prepared in the spring, and being prepared means that we already have our bid for soil cement in place that will last over the summer. I don't know how do you work that out.
Yeah, and I would hope maybe things have stabilized by that time that they would quote something that would be summer long. But right now, we just can't get that number.
Yeah.
Since we got this confusion going though about the state aid funding and the projects that we want to do with it, I think we need to come together and get clear on what it is we want to do with our state aid funding, so he can be prepared.
I've got these programs right here. If y'all would like to make a note, I can tell you what. This is Mabin Sturgis. John, can you hear me? Mabin Sturgis includes the program that we sent state aid, includes $413,036 of state aid money.
Say that number one more time, Clyde.
$413,036. 413,036.
But that's not the most current state aid amount.
That's the amount that you had when we sent the program in.
So the programs need to be updated to match the current amount of state aid dollars.
Correct.
The Maven Bell project that we sent in had $434,258 of state aid funds included.
Repeat again, please.
$434,258 of state aid funds. The Octop project that we sent in, the program document had $434,258. The approved program for Poorhouse Road had a total of $316,793 of state aid funds. Well,
Repeat that one, if you will.
$316,793. That's the approved signatured program on Poorhouse Road.
So how did it get approved if we never did a board order to actually do that until this last meeting?
I am holding the program with the board order and the legislative document with the $1 million and signatures from the supervisors, with the exception of District 3, that y'all signed.
So that's the update form.
This is the program that the project was developed on.
So Mr. Harley James, how much trouble will it be to update the program? Because that's what he said we needed to do when I talked to him. He said on his end, he was not seeing the full amount. So what do we need to do to update the program to show the full 400,000+ and the $1 million from the state, and go ahead and put that out for bid? That's what he told me that we needed to do. How much trouble will that be?
I just need to know how much state aid money this board wants to put toward that project.
I want to put all that's allocated for District 4, which is over $400,000 that we had for each district. You have those numbers and supply them to the county administrator, and they normally supply them to us. You don't have those numbers anymore?
I may have those numbers, but y'all tend to switch and swap and borrow and Peter to pay Paul sometimes, so I need to know exactly what the number for state aid money is.
No, sir. So I'd like to do a board order right now, board, if you don't mind, that Mr. Lois gets the current amount of state aid dollars, so we know exactly how much each one of these programs should have. I'd also like a copy of the new order for Poorhouse Road to reflect that, the current amount of state aid dollars, along with the $1 million, and if there's anything else that needs to be put out for bid on that, we would use the 4-year road money in that area. And I also would like the board to all have a copy of the contract from Phillips Construction on the Longview Road project, and have that distributed to all of us.
Can we break, Supervisor Miller, is it okay if we break these into separate ones? Because if that's okay?
Yes, fine.
Will you carry one of the motions? Carry one of your motions, and then we'll act on that one.
Sure.
The first motion. Your first motion?
Update the current amounts of state aid for each district.
For each district. Update the current amount for each district.
And the program documents need to be like that. We need copies of those too.
And that's a motion by Supervisor Miller.
I'll second that.
Second by Supervisor Montgomery, that we update the current amount for each district for state aid fund. Any additional question? No additional question, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And your next motion? Next motion?
Next motion would be that we need to have a copy of all the program documents, and they need to be updated with the current amount of state aid dollars that reflects them.
Do you want copies? Do you want copies of the old documents you've already signed, or just copies of the new documents that you will have to sign?
We need copies of the current documents. I didn't know that we just approved the board order. And I know Mr. Harry Lee James did not have the current documentation for Poorhouse, so we need new documentation that reflects the current amount for each district and state aid. We need a copy of all those for all the supervisors.
Well, that's the first motion I believe.
One was
I'll second
updated.
that as well.
Well, that was the first motion about a copy for each supervisor with the balance of state aid.
No, you just, the
This
first
one is
motion
for-
just said, no, it did not. This is talking about program dockets for these
Yeah,
state aid
program
projects.
docket. This one is on program docket for, state aid
You just
projects.
using the state aid part, you not adding them.
Is that all state aid projects that's active? And just Poorhouse Road?
All. That's what I've
Okay,
got.
motion by Supervisor Miller that is provided all state aid docket for all state aid projects that is active. I believe that's right. And second, anyone second that? Second
I'll
by-
second that. Supervisor Montgomery.
Second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any additional questions? If not, all in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Another motion. That's conclude our,
But she's got
No,
one
no, no,
more.
I have one more. Did y'all say that we're gonna get a copy of all those updated programs? I'd like a copy
Right.
of mine for sure.
right, we got that. We have that.
Okay, and the last one is that I'd like for all of us to have a copy of the Longview Road contract this week so we can all review it, please.
Okay.
I'd like to make a board order for that.
Motion by Supervisor Miller that we receive a copy of the Longview Road project for review.
Second that.
Second
I'll
by,
second that.
second by Supervisor Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
I think she may have one more.
My last motion would be that we have a copy of the detailed rain days that Pritchard Engineering's been keeping up of non-work days from the 365, that we have a copy of those days as well and receive those this week.
I'll second that as well.
That's the non-rain days or the rainy days?
Those are the rain days that
Rain
they've been
days.
keeping up with that they could not work.
Right,
And that way we can
right.
deduct it from the amount of days that they were special action work.
Okay. Copy of the rain days that Philip could not work. Be provided. They have a second on that one?
Second.
I'll
Second,
second that.
motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Trainer. Any question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Have a comment by Attorney Robinson.
Thank you. In the top one we had talked about, did we want to re-advertise based on the new information for Poorhouse Road? Or is that part of,
We have not advertised that yet, to my knowledge,
confused.
but we do need to advertise that, but it all needs to reflect the current numbers that we have.
so
So
do,
we did do a board order to advertise that. There was some confusion after that meeting, I believe, and so I did talk to Harry Lee James himself, and he said that we needed to get him a new program document, and
So we
that
need
way
a
we
new
can
board
move
order.
forward with that new program amount. So I would like to move forward with the new program amount once you receive that, Attorney Roberts, please.
yes ma'am. So we need to advertise based on the new program order, correct?
That's correct.
Is that in the
So
form
that
of a
would be-
motion?
Yes, absolutely. I'll make that motion, so there's no confusion.
Are you ready to advertise? Are you ready to advertise the
We are
Poorhouse
ready to
Road
advertise
project?
once the program document has been corrected with the
Update.
correct
Okay.
state aid amounts,
Okay.
we are ready to advertise.
Once the program docket has been corrected,
What road was
then we'll advertise based on the new program docket. Advertise based on the new program docket once it has been corrected. That's Supervisor Miller's motion.
couple of comments, if I may, on these revised programs, revised state aid amounts. We already know that state aid is not gonna act on these programs until we get clarifications on the bridges.
Down the bridges.
Would it not be better for me to wait till we figure out which way the bridge issue's gonna fall before we go to the trouble to prepare these programs and send them in and they be rejected possibly again? I would prefer to get clarification on the bridge issues so that we can prepare program documents that reflect what we're prepared to do.
I don't think that has anything to do with our state aid money that was allocated. And when I spoke to Mr. Harry Lee James, he did not say anything about bridges. He was very specific. I'll be glad to forward y'all his text messages to me. I did document all that conversation in writing. Be glad to forward that. Attorney Roberts, if you need to speak with Mr. Harry Lee James about this, if there's any more issues on this, I hope that you'll address that for me.
Well, he has told me that he'll not approve the road programs until he gets clarification on the bridges.
Now, the clarification is coming from us or coming from?
Coming from how we intend to address the remainder of our deficient bridges. And he actually gave us 3 of those bridges, in particular, that he wanted to be built or repaired. And that's what we're trying to do now through some of our ERBR funds. So,
Do we know when the
So
ER
it-
is gonna happen?
no, I asked this morning, that was one of my early statements. I spoke to Jerry Gilliland, Assistant State Aid Engineer, this morning, if there were any indication when the ERBR awards were coming out. They have not heard.
Do you think that's the practice that he's taking with all the counties?
That is absolutely a practice he's taken statewide.
Okay, I did not realize that.
That's statewide. And I've been given some notice for a long time that was coming, but because of the focus on bridges, they're gonna be hesitant to award a road project with money when you have bridges that need repair work. So that said, I'm suggesting to the board that rather than go back and amend Mavenville, Maven Sturgis, and Octop programs right now, that we find out how we're gonna fall with our bridge issues.
So right now, if we get funded through ERBR, we'll have adequate money to replace those bridges that are.
I think that will put you in the good, which would free up your road money, yes. And I don't have any feel at all whether we'll be awarded 1 or 2 or 3.
That's coming through the federal program or through a state ER?
The ERBR is being administered as if it's a federal program this time. The time before, it was administered as a MDOT state aid type program. But we're having to comply with federal standards this time around.
Has there been a second round of BRF fund, the second round of application?
Yes, sir.
Has there been a second round of application?
We submitted 3 applications on behalf of the county. And we haven't heard anything, and we don't know when we'll hear. Early indications were a month from date of receipt of applications, and we're about at that time frame right now. They gave us a deadline around mid-August, and we're soon to be pumping mid-September so far as responses.
Let me ask you this, on our state aid funding, we need to try to have that funding spent before this board term is up though.
Sure.
Do you think that this gonna drag on into?
No, I think we'll get definition, I'm hopefully within a couple of weeks on our ERBR stuff, and our hope would be if we can come to, one mindset in this room about how you want to expend your funds. We'll prepare those plans this fall, advertise them in the spring, and get this money spent.
Rob, can you get some clarification up for us on that and send us, can you reach out to Harry Lee James and get some clarification on that? I'm just asking because I just had a conversation with him and there was never one time did he say, hey, I'm not going to approve your funding for this, or you don't have the funding for this because of bridges. So I'd like to get some clarification in an email. If you don't mind, please, can you forward that to all of us?
Yes, ma'am. So you're doubting what I'm telling you, Supervisor Miller?
I'm just wanting clarification.
You do think we have enough ERVRF funds to take care of those bridges that we're talking about?
I'll be quite honest, in preparing those applications, we looked at what it cost per foot to build the last round of ERBR. We tried to allow for some inflationary factor that we're seeing on everything out there, and then we bumped them a little. So I hope if we get those awards that we've got sufficient funds in there to build these bridges. If there is a shortfall, then that would have to fall to the county. I mean, for instance, if we get an award for $700,000 and we advertise it and it comes in $815, then we're gonna need to come up with some money.
And that state aid money could be used on.
That's correct.
On that.
Yes, sir.
So these 3 bridges are where?
Dadgum, you've caught me blind.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. I think, I'm not sure, I'm not 100% certain of this, but on the advertising for the Poorhouse Road, Ms. Miller made a motion, and I think,
We didn't get a second.
I don't know if we got a second or not. The new program order for Poorhouse Road,
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Well, was this not just this whole conversation about holding up?
Yeah.
I think that was the thought process.
What are we going, I mean,
Yeah.
Supervisor Miller, what's your pleasure?
Thank you for asking me, Supervisor Howard. After speaking to Harry Lee James last week, I feel like that we can move forward on this project. So I would like to go ahead and get the document changed and go ahead and advertise, please.
We will have to prepare a new program document. I will have to bring it to the board for signature. That will have to go back to state aid for approval of that program, which will put us in late October, November. I would suggest that we're not gonna get productive work on a job that that we really can't do anything physically until the spring. My recommendation to the board would be to get the programs approved, the document signed, everything in place, and advertise this project in February. That way we'll get realistic prices for work that can be done, hopefully in April, begin. That's my recommendation to the board.
And then you advertise all those projects.
If they're all approved, yes, sir.
Right.
Yes,
right.
sir. If they're all
Yeah,
approved
so-
at that time.
So we probably could get a better price as a result.
Hopefully we'll get a realistic price for
Realistic
what the
price.
market is bearing at that point in time on advertising a project, that a contractor says, I'm gonna bid this job in February, I'm gonna turn in my contract, I'm gonna get my bonds turned in, this price is good, and I'm gonna be able to start work in April. That's a reasonable forecast for them to issue us a fair market price for the work.
I think Supervisor Miller's primary concern is the program docket. When can you get the program docket changed?
If I get the numbers from Mr. Lewis on what state aid money is available, we'll prepare that and have it ready for the next board meeting for signatures.
Okay, I think that's a primary concern.
And these other programs that we have that we're copying, Mr. Lewis, do you keep copies of these programs? Is that when the board signs them?
Emily may have, I haven't.
I'll be happy to forward them back, but I do want to know, y'all have signed these other 3 program documents that are over there that obligated your state aid monies. But I'll scan those and send
If you
them to
don't
you.
mind sending it to me and I will forward it out.
Certainly.
And I'll get to you the state aid breakdown.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if the state, this is the confusion I have, because if the state aid money has not been updated and our county administrator hasn't received any new money, then what are we updating? That's an honest question. Right now, it doesn't sound like there's been any new money.
No.
I don't know of any new money.
No new money.
That's where this has confused me a little bit, because it doesn't sound like, and the reason I say that is I talked to make certain that nothing has come in. Is it possible that money came in before your tenure?
It would have been nothing since July 1st. So whatever allocations you all are speaking of is what Emily
All right.
Sent
And
out.
these 4 programs were developed on numbers that Ms. Emily provided us,
Exactly.
and this is the state aid money available.
All right, with this board's
And that was
permission,
June,
That
given
was
that that was in June.
That's correct.
this board's permission, I'd like to flush this out with our current administrator and possibly our past administrator to make certain that we are on the same page with what the numbers should be, and all along with making certain that I've got a better handle, because it seems like there's about 400,000 per district that I don't know where it's at, and I'd like to make certain that we're not.
Roughly $430,000
Right.
and change, and the only ones not obligated is supervisor trainers.
But my understanding was I indicated to you what my wishes were, but evidently I didn't.
Well, and you may have, if you did, I've missed it.
So it's not, as the old saying go out, we didn't miss much because we got this other stuff that's looming in front of us anyway, so.
You gave me a
So,
list that
so
includes.
as of 2/5, February 5th, from an email from Emily, our state aid balance at that time was $427,726.20 per district. So I don't understand how these programs are showing $100,000 or whatever they're showing on there, which is not correct, when even in your estimate, Clyde, was 1,629,681 at that point. And the state aid money should have been 427,726. That's if it was programmed on 2/5. And then we had the $1 billion from the state, and then we needed 201,954. So why are these program documents not reflecting? And I think, do we have copies of them of what the current amounts are? Because I know at that point, and we occasionally get in more state aid money that's allocated.
I think that's a fair conclusion, is that we allow our board attorney to communicate further with our county administrator and try to work things out and draw some conclusion in regards to state aid funds availability. So I don't believe we need a motion on that. We just need to allow Attorney Robinson and our county administrator to communicate with each other in regards to that. I think that's a fair conclusion.
Sounds good, man.
Sounds good.
Any additional questions from Mr. Clyde?
I think we need to get together
Well,
quickly with all of us. And
I would like to, I guess I would like to
Administrator,
double
have
back,
work
and this
session.
may be
I
more
mean,
for Rob
engineer.
on the AT&T.
Excuse me, hold on, Supervisor Montgomery, we got a comment on the table now from
Go ahead.
Supervisor Trainer.
Okay.
You gonna move forward with your comment, or you?
Now, I just said, I think we all need to get together with the engineer and have a work session.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly.
Yeah,
what
that's a
we're
good
doing.
deal, good deal.
Highly recommended.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Supervisor Montgomery.
Yes, in regards to this claim for damages letter that we got from AT&T, dated the 2nd of July, and this is to Attorney Robertson. Have you gotten anywhere with them in forgiving the damages? And I guess this would be to Rob or Clyde, is AT&T, are they still in the right of way, or are they out of the right of way? Longview Road.
My understanding is that they're out of the right of way at this point, and the bulk of, or anything that they were concerned about is actually late, well, this is about a month ago, this laying outside of the right of way on the ground, and they'll come back later
Right.
to redo that. The letter that we received was forwarded from Phillips. Phillips is still, AT&T, and this is part of the hiccup I think Phillips has got. Phillips doesn't feel like AT&T is letting them off the hook, even though they've got a letter, or I'm assuming they got it. I don't know whether they've actually got it in hand or not at this point, but their issue is AT&T is still looking to them to pay it. Mr. Green and I had a conversation about it sitting on the gravel road that day that we went out there and looked, and he is aware that Phillips will not be responsible for it. We had that conversation sitting out there on the Dealing with AT&T is like dealing with, I don't know, it's like getting gum on the bottom of your feet. You can try all you like, you end up with it all over the place. And that sounds terrible, and I don't mean to sound derogatory to them, but the reality is they have a tendency to get one-track minded, and they want what they want, but they don't want to do what, they don't want to seem to I guess, get with the program with what we have said. I'll get with Mr. Green again, find out, because I guarantee you it's not Mr. Green that's making these decisions or sending these letters out. I guarantee you it's probably somebody in the billing department for them, and they're probably just unaware of what's happening on the ground as opposed to what we're talking about in terms of getting all this stuff done. So, in fairness to Phillips, I do understand their heartburn that AT&T continues to send them this $4,000 bill. My only qualm with Phillips is they asked for a letter. I sent it to them, or at least I thought I sent it to them. Maybe I would assume that they got it since we did it in two different ways. But we will make for doggone certain that they've received it. I'll get with somebody in AT&T, whether it be their claims department. I have a copy of the same letter that you're referring to, and I think I may have stuck it in y'all's stuff to look at. It's a good possibility that they will forgive this. It's also a good possibility that they're going to be a pain to deal with on this. So I don't want to promise you anything. They just are hard to. They're just hard to get decisions made, and even if you get a decision made on one end, you may end up still not getting a decision further up their food chain in that. So I'll get on that, and surely we'll have a decision.
All right, so, and I hate to keep harping on this, but we're going to, okay, until we get a resolution here. If what will it take, Clyde, for Phillips to get back to work? With that letter stating that AT&T is out of the right of way and that they will be held responsible for any further damages to utility lines, water lines, etc. I mean, what if we got that to them today? Do you feel like they could get started back on that road when that letter is already
It will take that letter and favorable weather conditions that they can mobilize and come back in and do productive work. And, that end, I don't think any of us are in, control over right now, but, if it's dry enough and the conditions are such that we as engineers can say, you can be doing productive work out here, then we will be charging work days against the contract.
Okay. Could Supervisor Montgomery? Supervisor Montgomery, could we allow Pritchard Engineering, Clyde Pritchard, and our board attorney to communicate back and forward in regards to that, and then communicate with Philip Construction, and that way we'll get things resolved. I guess better. And I believe they'll talk back to you and Supervisor Miller and keep you updated. Would you all be willing to communicate back and forward and keep Supervisor Montgomery and Supervisor Miller updated?
Yes, sir.
Sure, but forward that correspondence to our email. Preferably today.
Okay, I think we got it. Okay.
I would like to have one thing in writing. Some clarity going forward through this winter, because we've determined that this road will not be paved, but we need some clarity going forward. What we are expecting on that road, and who we're expecting to make sure that road stays passable for the residents down there, and that it does not fall upon the county to keep that road passable.
Motion by, that's in the form of a motion.
Yeah.
It should be, I believe. Motion by.
Yeah, I'll second. I'll
Motion
second
by,
that. Yes, sir.
Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery, that we get some clarity about how we're gonna keep Longview Road in a passable traveling position over the summer. And who's gonna be responsible?
Question, I just think we just need to assume the responsibility of the road, because what's gonna happen is, we already behind the 8 ball, and there's no need of trying to go back and forth. If the road needs some attention where folks can get in and out, the county just need to go out there and do what gotta be done.
Yeah, but.
And then we'll work that out with Philip
But-
somewhere on the other end.
Yeah, but we
get
see,
some
that's how we get in trouble now. We'll work it out some way instead of getting it up front.
Getting up front.
What we need
But
to
you
do.
can't make them do more.
Yeah, but that's actually, that's the contractor's job site right now.
But he can go back and say, okay, we can do that and go back and forth. If Phillips don't even come back down there no more, they may abandon the project altogether. We still responsible for it.
Once the letter is in hand and we verify that they have that, again, is weather permits, and we'll assess it today if we.
Let me carry the motion through. Carry the motion through. The motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery, that we get some clarity as to who's gonna be responsible over the winter for the condition of Longview Road.
And I
And
also,
questions, additional questions. No additional question, all in favor?
Ah,
I don't have no problem supporting it,
Motion
but
carries. I don't know about Supervisor Miller. Motion carries. I assume
Yes.
5-0. 5-0.
one comment, there's an item in Phillips' contract that's called maintenance of traffic.
Right.
That is a pay item. They have a number tagged to that.
Right.
And
I
that
figured they would.
section in their, we call it the green book, but their green book, that section of their contract clearly defines their responsibility through the contract period.
Right, absolutely.
And I will forward that to you,
Forward
just
that
that
to-
particular paragraph if you need
Yeah,
that.
right, right. So there should be some reimbursement, it seems, then, if there's a line.
I don't know that it
item
says
in there.
anything about reimbursement for county forces, and this is rough to say, but I actually would encourage the county not to get, and one thing, it is their project.
Right.
Now,
It's-
It is their
it's the
contract.
contractor's
It's their
work
project,
site
that's
right
right.
now.
It's their work site, and again, given that we've got our AT&T obligation satisfied, we'll assess site conditions, and if it's where they can be doing productive work, we'll start charging work days to their contract.
If there's,
how much money has already been expended toward the contract?
Not much.
So you're talking about the whole contract, the whole total project was how much?
Oh, gosh, I'll have to go back and pull it. It seemed like it was over $2 million.
1.8 million is what it
Right
is.
at $2 million.
And they hadn't got, but you said not much, they hadn't probably got, what, a couple $100,000 or something?
That's right.
See, they got a lot of money, yeah, okay.
They've got a lot yet to do.
And got a lot yet to get,
We've not commented that the pandemic pretty much shut everything down for a time period in there. Nobody knows how that'll work toward days charged, but basically the job was suspended through that period until it got back where everybody could go back to work.
I just don't want the county, because the way this looks, it's a possibility that the county could be set up down there the whole winter,
Yeah.
trying to keep that road
yeah.
open with all types of equipment and resources and gravel and,
Yeah,
and that's not the county's responsibility.
that's right, not our responsibility. Since we have no additional questions, I don't believe, for Ms. Pritchard,
You ready to get rid of
could
it?
we acknowledge, if there are no additional questions, could we acknowledge Ms. Pritchard update?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by
Thank you, sir. Have a
Supervisor
great day.
Trainer. All in favor?
Aye.
Ah,
Motion carries 5-0. 5-0. Okay, you don't wanna take a break, or you wanna continue on?
Hey, can I make a motion to go into executive session and talk about a personnel matter, please, real quick, after we take the break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay, I'm good, but if somebody need one,
I need one.
I hope we can speed this thing up though, cause we gotta get out of here and head to Jackson.
I motion that we take a 10-minute break. Motion, we take a 10-minute break. If we need a motion to convene the board.
Our motion, we resume the board meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Board is now back in order. Okay, Chancellor Clerk Business, Ms. Livingston.
First thing I have is that we had no CD for the month of August and the funds remain the same as Citizens.
Okay. Motion on.
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Trainer.
Yeah, motion.
Second by Supervisor Howard. And no CD. Report. All in favor? Okay. Motion carries 5-0.
Second thing I had is to acknowledge the proof of publication that we did with Commercial Dispatch for the soil cement.
So move.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Trainer, proof of publication. In additional question, no additional question, all in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
That's all I have.
Okay, moving forward then, Supervisor Miller, we want you to, the board, is asking that you consider, the executive, order to, after we go through with everything. Okay, make sure. Road manager report, Mr. Baggett.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Baggett.
I have some requests for some culverts. I have one for Mr. Marcus Carr on Sessions Road. He's putting in, he's trying to get into his property.
Request for comment,
So moved.
motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor?
Okay, on
Motion
Lewis,
carries 5-0, I believe.
Louisville Sturgis, 2171 culvert request by Andrew Pittman. Again, he's trying to get onto his property.
Make a motion.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard. Any questions? If no question, all in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I have one for Mr. Randy Maples on Red Bucket Road.
Mr. Maple on Red Bird.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard. Any additional questions? Any questions? No questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, at 1069,
While you at it, could we also do a motion to allow coverage for Miss Matilda Lawrence? Matilda Lawrence. Her address is 2223 Chapel Hill Road. The situation with that is Ms. Lawrence been using her neighbor's driveway for many years, and she finally wants her own driveway.
So moved.
Allow coverage. Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
you have a telephone number for her?
I'll get that to you.
Okay. At 1069 Old Highway 12, the county put a culvert in for the resident there, but it's a deep, a very deep ditch. And so by the time you come up to where the road actually starts, you come up 2 to 1, you end up with an entrance that's probably 9 feet, which is very challenging coming right off of that road, right off of Old West Point into that person's home right there.
Old Highway 25.
Old Highway 25. And so, and we run into this situation quite often, but the way the rules are, we can't do anything but just a standard culvert. And it makes it more of a hazard than it does anything else. It would really be best not to put a ramp there than to have to come back and have a little, small little entranceway there. So I'm requesting for the board that we add to that culvert, and in the future, that I'll bring all of these type situations to the board. This lady is not requesting, she doesn't have any kind of business, she's not pulling a trailer in there, or a semi. She's just trying to get into her house, and if any of that material washes from the side, she can't get in.
I'm familiar with that situation. It is a very dangerous situation.
It is.
And that is a more creek really than a driveway.
Mm-hmm.
So someone's gonna fall off the side of it and gonna be injured there quite a bit. So something needs to be done there. I'm glad that you're looking into that. So I want a motion that we allow.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer, that we allow for the addition of a piece of cover on that 1069 Old Highway 25. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
While we're on that, I have a cover installation for James Wilson at 442 Watson Road.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams, that we allow for the installation of a cover Watson Road.
Say the address again.
442
Watson
Road. You meant Mr. Wilson.
Yes,
James
and
Wilson.
actually, he just wants us to move the culvert.
Mr. Lewis, I've got a cover, but you probably have.
All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
You probably have called this one in, Sheriff Perkins, she's went through all her site development and everything.
I emailed that in. I remember her name.
Okay,
I did email it in, but I'll follow up on it. When I
Okay,
get
she
back to the
sent me a copy of her permit, so she's
Yes.
gotten everything ready for her cover, so.
She did.
Okay,
So I put in the request when they come through me with a site development.
okay, good deal.
But I'll follow up on it.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Okay. I don't believe we need a motion for that one. Supervisor Howard, you okay?
Yeah, we
okay.
good on that one.
All right,
We got all the paperwork in order and everything.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay. Do we have any additional questions from Mr. Bagley?
Clipping, how we coming along? We making much progress?
We are making progress. I spoke with the foreman right before coming, and in District 2, well, I'll just go by the shops. In the C shop area, they've clipped 16 sections, and they started on some other roads in that area. He told me Adams Road and some other area, roads right in that one particular area right there. D shop, A shop. According to A shop, they've done the clipping for District 3 that they are responsible for. And so they're gonna be moving on now to South Creek in District 1 in a day or so once the ditches are dry. In the B shop area, he says they've clipped Yates subdivision, Colonial subdivision, John High Road, and they're gonna be moving on to New Light Road. And now they're gonna be moving on to New Light. From there to Old West Point, Poorhouse, South Montgomery, back to Longview. And it's gonna take them a couple of weeks to get to that point. So that's where they are.
Any more word on the long arm coach?
Same deal every time. When I ask him, he says a couple of weeks, and I asked him a week ago. So,
I've also got, paperwork here for 750 Sherfield Road, need, color.
750 Sherfield.
750 Sherfield Road.
You working on that?
This is not a site investigation, that's what they don't know.
This is, he's had his address assigned, but Mr. Lewis, I'll get with you on this before we actually submit, make sure we got all the paperwork.
Okay.
You don't want to know motion? Okay.
Just
Like that.
pending,
Yes, sir.
pending, 750.
Yes, sir.
There's a section, Mr. Bagger, on Bethel Road, apparently was not sprayed. And as a result of it being not sprayed, we got, we got weeds pretty much in the road as you drive by. So since it's too late to spray it, I wish that we could get it clipped. And you will know what I'm talking about. If you drive down Bethel Road, you'll know exactly the section that I'm talking about. Any additional questions for Mr. Baggett? If not, Mr. Baggett, you do a wonderful job with this report every month. I know that there's a lot of work that you put into it every month there, so we appreciate you giving us an update every month on what's going on in the county.
Move we accept the report.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, that we accept Mr. Baggett's report. We got the second. Second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. 5-0. Okay, move
Hey, I
forward.
just want to say thank you to Mr. Baggett and the road crew when we had the storm last week. So I appreciate all that they did for us during that storm last week.
Okay, I think he hear you. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery.
I'm sorry, I didn't call you back.
Moving forward. County Business, County Administrator.
You have the, payroll changes in your package for approval.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard, that we approve all the payroll changes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, 1 second, let me call Supervisor Miller back.
Somehow or another, she got disconnected.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay.
Thanks.
We have a motion for payroll changes. Supervisor Miller, waiting on your vote on payroll changes.
She's a yes.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0.
All right, we got an invoice from Pickering Farm. Did you say something?
I think she's having a hard time hearing us.
Can you hear us, Supervisor Miller?
You got her on mute.
You better give it to D.
She's still on.
She did want to remind y'all that she wanted to go into executive session, but I've got to go into executive session on a building issue as well, so at that point, whenever y'all are ready.
Okay.
Hey, you there?
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything earlier.
Okay. Okay. You wanna repeat the payroll?
Payroll change, vote, what's up,
She
vote?
voted, she
So,
voted.
yes.
You vote for that, so you go to next.
Okay, we have a Pickering Farm invoice in the amount of $25,950.22.
So move.
Second.
Motion for approval on the invoice for Pickering, motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Trainer. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Have an invoice from Robertson Law Firm for, some work that he had done and not billed in the amount of $18,993.75.
So move.
So moved. I
Motion
make
by-
the motion.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery, that we pay, Robinson Law Firm. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank y'all.
Motion carries 5-0.
We need the approval from the board to do a sole source, I guess, payment with BLT Solutions. This is for the appraisal office. Deanna Blackwell, purchasing clerk. She contacted the auditors, and this is the only company that provides the services that's required for the appraisal office. So because it's over 5,000, we need the board order to move forward with it.
So move.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams, that we move forward with the appraisal. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Have credit card charges in the amount of $118.65.
I move we pay the credit card.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by
Second.
Supervisor Trainer, that we pay the credit card charges. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
You have the claim docket number 3807 through 4180 in the amount of $3,309,206.04.
Move we pay the bill.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Trainer for the claims docket. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
It's 4-1.
Probably 4 on that.
Four, I'm saying, that's right, 4.
Okay. We have a G17 letter from Raymond James. I spoke with Ms. Lindsay Ray, and this is the possibility of us doing another refunding bond on one of our 2017 road bond, correct?
That's correct.
And that's giving them the authorization to go out and seek the refunding of this bond.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Trainer. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
I need
5-0. Until we told different.
I got financing quotes in for the sheriff's department vehicles as well as for the 2 motor graders. I don't know what the board pleasure is with moving on the motor graders because there's been some other conversations. But I recommend that we have a new bank that opened here, Guarantee Bank. I contacted the state treasury department. I spoke with Allison Stewart to make sure, to verify that Guarantee Bank is a qualified depository, and she verified that, so we can do business with them. They came in with the lowest bid. They gave us several options. We can do 48 months for 0.81%, or 60 months at
I thought that was a typo.
9.8%.
That wasn't a typo?
It's not.
Okay.
60 months at 0.98.
0.81%.
No, 48 months at 0.81.
0.81.
60 months at 0.98.
98.
Holy
And we
pass that bill up.
Well, this is a new business, and I met with,
I'm gonna go
Mr.
talk to
Slaughter, and they
Well, you know
are,
Sam Slaughter.
yeah, yeah.
I forgot that, you're right.
They are going to be.
New group,
very aggressive
same faces, yeah.
competition.
I think they open by
By
Mugshot.
Behind Mugshot.
But that old pizza place, the one that didn't stay open long enough to go to it, I don't think it did. did it?
Oh, wow, it didn't.
As far as the motor graders, we
Oh.
will have to rebid for those 2 motor graders because of how that went through. So because I didn't have definite numbers to give him, he did send me an email stating that if we move forward with 2 motor graders, it will be at the same interest rate. I last emailed asking how long this quote was good for, but I had to leave, so I don't know if that would happen in that time, if we move forward
That's
with
amazing.
financing.
I think we're talking about doing something a little different with
With the motor grader,
equipment.
yes, but if we
Yeah.
do something, I'm thinking probably within 30 days, we can, the interest rate will be the same. I have to verify that because I.
Can we go ahead and advertise for the motor grader?
I would
we
really,
need 'em.
if we gonna do this other package, I'd really rather get with our road manager and let's nail this equipment list down.
But we need the motor grader now. So I think you said we got one with the engine, one with transmission. So I mean, so if we can get behind on grade and everything like that, you know.
Well, I mean, I'm with the board, but we're talking about
Can they
doing
even hear
something.
us?
Let us move forward with approving, the financing of the shared vehicles, and then we come back, I believe, to the motor grader. Because that is we do need to address that. Thank you. And that's guarantee bank and trust with those outstanding interest rates.
Was
So
that,
moved.
Get a motion.
and that was not refinancing, that was financing, correct? I'm trying to make
Lease
sure I hear right.
purchase. Lease purchase for
Lease
the sheriff
purchase.
vehicle.
Thank you.
Who motion is that?
Trainer.
A motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Very last
Now.
thing I have is we need to set, a date to approve the levying for the new budget. I am recommending September 14th because I have to get it to the chancery, we have to get it to the tax office before the 15th, and that will give me a couple of days to do some. So if
Okay.
you all good
Is
with that date, September 14th?
Sound good.
Sound good.
What time?
9.
Okay.
I mean, what time is rep preferred?
September 14th.
What time, in time works for me.
Okay. Well, September 14th. What are you talking about, having a adjourned meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
because everyone would need to be. That being said, I sent out emails on some recommendations that I received. I haven't heard anything back. You emailed, and I spoke with Supervisor Howard about, some of them, so I'm not getting a lot of feedback on some of these recommendations that came before the board. So.
Hey guys, I have a meeting at 9 o'clock on the 14th. Can we do a different time?
Okay.
2 o'clock?
What time you prefer?
Any time, I just have 9, it's gonna last for a couple hours, but I do have a meeting that day, that morning at 9 o'clock.
That afternoon at 2, is that good for everyone?
What about that afternoon at 2 o'clock? Oh,
That works for me, I'll put it down.
Amended to 2 o'clock
2
PM.
o'clock, September the 14th.
14.
So is that gonna be our recess
This
meeting
one, you're going to be a meeting.
instead of that
No,
Monday?
not, this just for budget. Now, I don't know how you wanna do the
Recess is
regular
on
board
the
meeting
20th.
and then come back for that.
I guess I'm asking, is the 14th is the day you want, it can't be any earlier? I mean, if we've got a recess meeting on the 13th, can we?
Put it on the 13th.
We got a recess meeting, I believe, on the 20th.
No, we usually be on 20. That'd be
Oh,
2 weeks
20th,
later.
well, I'm sorry,
That'd be
I'm
after.
looking at the wrong Monday, that's
Yeah.
my bad.
So
Okay.
that'll give us a week from today.
So 14th, 2 o'clock. I should be good with that. I don't know why I was thinking the third Monday. I mean,
So that's going to be the public hearing and everything.
You're doing just like me.
I'm bad law,
So
son.
September
Get that,
14th at
get
2
that slow
o'clock.
spell.
Okay,
Okay.
Now,
that's all I have.
now, listen, if it's okay with you, we go back to the, rotor blade situation. You
Oh,
provide some information on
That's,
that.
that's all right.
Okay, with the road grade situation, what did you want, to try to finance that?
No, I just say just go ahead and advertise.
Advertise for
Just go ahead and advertise for it. And that way we can get that out of the way. And then, of course, we got to decide the financing, that's gonna, you got a good quote. And so if we gonna get everything that was on that list, then I'm assuming what Supervisor Howard is saying is just come to agreement with everything that we're gonna get and then put it into one big package for finance. Instead of financing in bits and pieces, we can just finance road equipment all together. That's my assumption, what he was recommending.
That's right.
But now the advertising was completely different. We want to go ahead and get that out of the way. Because I think we pretty much sure which route we're going. Unless we somebody come in with a better bid than what we know we got out there. I mean, that would be great too.
Yeah.
But but probably not likely.
Unlikely that they will.
But we want to make sure we
have to advertise though.
right. We got to advertise and follow the requirements and everything. So that was my suggestion.
Okay, is that a motion to advertise for, road grader?
Right.
For
For two motor graders.
Two, okay. Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard, that we advertise for two motor graders.
My question, why are we not using the bids that we got off electronic bid that were so much less?
We have to compare those two then.
I think we are.
Yeah, we have already compared them.
I think we will be using
about
them.
the previous bid that y'all,
Yeah.
because y'all, you guys followed through with that bid. So we advertised and then you made a purchase off of that bid.
For
So
one grade.
You executed that whole bid. So you have to re-bid. You're not, you're making another purchase. You're doing a new purchase. You're not doing one purchase. Like the first purchase, if you did a board order to purchase 3, off that bid, was the board order to approve the purchase of 3 or 1?
We can change that because we have the money. That's right. Okay, you're right.
I'm a no on that then, just simply because I feel like that we've already got the best bid. I'd like to make sure that we go with what we knew was the very best bid. It was a lot lower than everything else.
You can contact Deanna. She's the purchase clerk. That's the purchasing law. It's not like you can't just purchase. You can't just purchase off of that just because we got it. We should have done it at the time we did the board order. That's just purchasing, but you can contact Deanna to make sure.
I understand that, but we made a board order to go ahead and purchase all 3 at that time.
It was just my assumption that you made the board order to purchase 1. I'm not sure. Did y'all make the board order to purchase 1?
I think we
advertised for 1.
That original board order was to purchase a motor grader, but
And
we
then we-
advertised for 1 or more. So you all purchased 1 off of that bid. Then you later decided to get 2 more after you saw the bid.
Right.
So the original order was to purchase a motor grader.
I don't think it'll hurt to.
Yeah, I wouldn't have to advertise.
That bid,
Are you gonna do reverse auction, or are you gonna do?
Yes, we're gonna do that. Cause that's how we got the best price.
as well as hand delivering in?
Yeah, we're gonna do both.
I'm asking, that's
We
what the board
can do
just
both.
said.
Here's the deal, y'all. In the contract, whenever we sign a contract with the reverse auction, state law will allow you to do both. However, in the contract that we sign, this is really confusing, and I realize that. In the contract we signed with, when you do the reverse auction, it states in there, or it's supposed to state in there, because we looked at it, and it's a little, I talked to him, it's a little confusing, that you can, when you make a deal with them, you have to go through with them, is the deal. So it's contractual, it's not statutory. So in our contract, when we sign a contract with them to redo this, we have to go through the bidding process. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
One is open-ended. The other is when you contract, say, hey, we want you to go get the best deal for us, you have to go through that contractual basis. And it can be confusing. I apologize that it is.
It closes that other
It
option
closes
to
it.
the board.
No,
Right.
the hang-up with the last one was the way we advertised.
Correct.
Not going through.
We advertised that open-ended.
Our advertisement has to say, in order to participate in this bid, you must go through
The reverse auction.
the reverse auction. So we have to be very specific in how we advertise. If we don't say that, then we have to receive walk-ins. We
Right.
didn't say that the last time. So
Well,
that's the
actually,
hang-up.
we did, the contract, the
That's two different
advertisement came
things.
to directions directly from the reverse auction company, and that's what we're
confused
going to use again as their advertisement, because it does state that in the contract, not the first two lines, but on down.
Supervisor Miller, that's two different situations. Our contract with them is just with them. The way we advertise depends on how we wanna receive it. So,
So
Exactly.
what you're saying is
Exactly.
we've got to say that then?
exactly.
How do y'all want
I
to do
called
this?
the state auditor.
I
They
want
said
every, I
one
want
has
every
to
option
say
open. I want every option that the board has.
Let me contact him and make sure he understands we're going to, so that we're not in a situation where we're conflicting with his contract. Because right now, what will happen is, we will be in conflict with, the gentleman from West Point, and I apologize, I can't remember his name.
Vaughn.
That's right. And I'll talk to him and make certain. Right, I'll call him and make certain that he understands what we're doing, why we're doing it, and make sure he wants to proceed within this purview. That'll keep us straight.
Yeah. I just don't think we need to close any options to the board.
I think he's gonna be the cheapest when it's all said and done.
Oh, yeah.
However,
Yeah.
just so we cover ourselves, I'll talk to him.
Sound good?
Okay, so we do have a motion to advertise for 2 additional motor graders.
I still need to know what the board wishes are though, so we can let Von Blaylock know. Are you gonna do it only through, reverse auction? Cause the advertisement has to say that.
Right.
I talked to the state auditors
right.
and that's what they told
That's
me.
right, it had to say that.
You both are correct. What you're both saying
Yeah,
is
it
correct.
is
That's
correct.
the reason this is so confusing.
Right, so if that's the way,
Right.
then I have to relay that to him and
Right.
he can put that in the advertisement.
Right.
If that's
Yes,
the board wishes.
yes, reverse auction, for me.
Only,
I'd
I'm
say
saying.
I'd say well.
Only,
That's fine. That's fine.
only.
Reverse auction, is that?
Okay,
the
right,
board
that makes
wishes?
it
Yeah,
easy. I don't have to
that's-
ask this question.
Yeah.
Okay,
That way, if any company wants to, they can go through the reverse
and
auction.
that will give me the
And
right
that's-
to turn it
you've
down
nailed
if
it.
somebody walk it in, now that you all are gonna advertise it and say in order to participate, it has to be reverse auction. So any hand delivered, I don't have to accept it.
So do you still have to take it to the newspaper, or does Southern Procurement handle it?
Southern Procurement does everything.
Okay, so you
But
shouldn't
the
have to be- yeah.
wording, I have to tell him this is the board wish though.
Okay,
So I have to tell him when he advertises, make sure he say that.
right, make sure you specify the
Says
notice. I
reverse
Exactly.
auction. That way, we're not getting into any confusion.
Okay.
guess they got a system, electronic.
But there is, some legislation out there that you don't have to.
Could we,
You're exactly
could
right.
we go on with,
Because if we want
okay,
a specific
we'd
grant.
like to go on, continue on with, county business.
That's exactly right.
County business for supervisor, and then if it's okay, we'll come back to, board attorney.
Yes, sir.
Because we need to go into executive session.
Yes, sir.
Could we, let me ask y'all this, since Lynn is sitting here waiting, can we do this and let him get, and then go into executive session?
Yeah, that's.
So he don't have to sit here and wait, cause this,
That's right.
you know how executive sessions
Right.
can last.
And that's what,
45
that's the
minutes.
county business supervisor, that's what we're trying to get to. Trying to get to, county business supervisor. Intent resolution to issue bonds, is that,
I make a motion that we move ahead and issue the resolution of intent.
Second.
motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard, that we issue the resolution for intent to issue bonds. Any questions? If no question, all in favor? Motion carries 4-5-0. 5-0.
Supervisor Miller, how did?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I
okay.
put you on that sheet, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm sorry.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, do we have any comments on Mr. Lynn? No.
Is it okay if I go ask him a couple of questions, just because I know this is gonna come?
And are we still at the county supervisor business?
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to, my appointment for the hospital board, I would like to appoint Sophie Scott Nichols to that, at-large appointment. I talked with Peggy and she, Sophie Scott Nichols.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Trainer, that we appoint Sophie Nichols to the at-large position on the hospital board. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Supervisor Howard, will you give her information to me? I need to email
I will.
it to her.
I sure will.
Thank you.
I told her you would be contacting her.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to do a resolution. I don't know if y'all are aware, but Mr. Neil Amos passed right after I appointed him last Monday to the board. He passed, and so, or the last meeting, so I'd like to do a resolution honoring him, and I've got 2 positions to fill, and I will get that backfilled. I'll let y'all know at the next meeting who that's gonna be.
Sounds good. Is that a motion?
Resolution by, motion by Supervisor Miller, that we issue a resolution honoring Mr. Neil Amos. Motion, and we have a second. Second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. I forward some information to you about Mid-South Forestry Equipment Show. They're having a show at the end of St. Mark Road, the intersection of St. Mark and Old 25. And they want that section closed for 2 days. And those days are gonna be, and they just closing the end of the road. So there's no traffic going through anyway at the end of the road. That's the end of St. Mark Road at the intersection of Highway 25 and St. Mark for 2 days.
Need a motion?
Yeah, and now, let me finish. Those 2 days is September the 17th and September the 18th. And they do have a partnership with Mississippi State University, so everybody's in favor of that. Mississippi State Forestry and Mississippi Loggers Association. Motion to close on those 2 days.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there additional questions? No additional question, all in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Wagner Engineering is moving forward with coming to reports, various reports regarding the county lake dam. It looks like they're doing a good job. They have completed Part A, which is site assessment report. And of course, they got a lot of help from other agencies too, like the United States Corps of Engineers and others have provided information to them. So they have completed Part A and now are getting ready to work on Part B. And that's gonna be an assessment of the hydraulics and things of that nature. And I did forward that email to you, so you get a chance to review that email. And Rob already, Attorney Robinson.
Yes, sir.
Already have a copy of that email.
Yes, sir.
To explain that.
I didn't get that email. I have not gotten either one of those emails from Supervisor Williams.
Yeah, I sent both of them to you this morning. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
This morning, but my email has not been functioning until just recently. So I've just been able to start back forward an email. But this morning, you should have gotten both of those. If not, I'll check and see.
I'll send it to you right quick.
Okay. And flu shots. Everyone has the announcement on the flu shots for 15th and 16th. 15th is going to be in this circuit building for the 15th and 16th for the road department. Joe Reed request. We need to make a request to reappoint Joe Reed to the East Activity Hall County Wastewater Management District.
So move.
Motion by
Second.
Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard, to appoint Joe Reed to the East Activity Hall County Wastewater District. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. I don't have anything else. Any other supervisors? If not, we need a motion to go into.
You want to get these?
Rob?
I would like to while we're in open, real quick, because this is part of the discussion we had with the Phillips Contracting and AT&T. Supervisor Montgomery, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So that y'all are aware, I didn't want it to be just left out there in the open. August 24th of 2021, I sent a letter with an attachment of the board order. It says, "To whom it may concern," and it was addressed to Phillips Contracting, 1500 Mall Street. Please find enclosed a copy of the minutes from the Oktibbeha County Board of Supervisors for August 1st meeting. The document acknowledges that Phillips Contracting Incorporated shall not be responsible for damages to utility lines when done within the construction easement, so long as they're operating with industry standards for road builders and are not intentionally or negligently operating outside the work easement. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate. This was sent out August 24th. The reason it was sent out August 24th, it took us that long to get signatures on orders to make sure that nothing had changed and there was nothing that needed to be done on that end. So this was sent out not quite a month ago. I will make certain that it gets recirculated with them again. Also tied to that, we did receive a demand for claim for damages from Bell South AT&T. I put that in y'all's packet so that you would be aware of it. And this is what's got them a little nervous, I guess. They're actually asking for $4,806.08. As soon as this board meeting is over with, today or tomorrow, whenever I can get a hold of somebody that can actually work with me, I'll contact them and see if I can get something worked out on this. I think they will negotiate this to a reasonable amount and try to get this worked out. But I didn't want to leave that in the what if section in terms of when this was sent out. That letter was sent out long enough ago for them to have at least started something.
Can we take action on this?
We need to go into executive session to discuss how y'all want to proceed. But yes, sir, we do need to take action on it.
I thought we had already worked out.
Well, we'll go into executive session. I'll say what I'm.
And I want to share about a personnel matter at the same time too, please.
But you are correct. We need to do something. I need a motion to go into closed session.
I motion to go into executive session. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Go into executive session. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
I second it.
Motion for adjournment, do we need a motion to set?
Just recess to the 14th. We're gonna recess to the 14th.
Recess.
Recess that on the 14th. Okay, I don't know. I need a motion on that. Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard, that we recess until September 14th.
Okay.
All in favor?
May not, if we can handle what we need on that day.
That's it.
Mr. Lewis, you heading down
I
and
was
get,
hoping,
you need a drink or you need lunch?
I'm going to do both. I am hungry though.
okay.
Get out.